Set your goals high and don't stop until you get there. I am honored to welcome Dr. Lamya Al Haj to HerStory. Welcome, Dr.
Thank you for having me on this interview.
It's truly an honor to have you. I've always looked up to you. I've known you since we were young girls, shall we say?
Yeah.
And I've always been inspired by your dedication. Since you were young, I remember you studying. What's Lamya doing? Lamya is studying. What's Lamya doing? Lamya is studying. And mashallah, it actually really paid off. And I'm truly happy to have you, so I can really know more about you and I can share your story with the others. You're mashallah doctora. You have your PhD in structural and molecular biology.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
And you have your master's. You are a public speaker. You are helping the community in your own spare time. You're also a mother, you're a wife, you're a daughter. You're everything that we all aspire to be. I start off with, how do you do it?
First of all, thank you so much, Mayya, for taking the time to highlight maybe my story, which is, I really, really believe is an ordinary story, but an ordinary story only becomes extraordinary when it's shared.
Exactly.
So I'm sure a lot of people out there have the same story and we can all learn from each other. That question. I guess it comes down to a certain set of skills, probably, and a certain set of support.
Okay.
So part of the answer is what you can do as a person, and part of the answer is how much support you get as well to achieve your goals.
That's very true.
So as a child, as you said, I mean, it's really nice to be having a chat. I mean, I've got loads of interviews, and it's the first time I have with one of my childhood friends. So this is exciting, and I feel very calm and comfortable with this. So as you know, since I was a kid, I always aspired high. I always worked really hard to the point that my parents used to punish me by taking the books away. So if I was grounded, they would lock my books in the room.
No way, I didn't know.
That you didn't know.
It happened when I was not there.
My parents tell everybody this story. So I was punished by locking up my books. I was rewarded. If I get anything less than an A, I would get 50 riyals for every A I don't get. So basically, if I don't get an A, I get to note of 50 riyals. If I get all A's, I don't get anything. So because they were trying to calm down the whole perfectionism, studying too hard.
Just an overachiever. You just wanted to excel so bad because you had a goal, didn't you?
Yes.
I remember watching one of your videos where you said, my goal was to become a professor at SQU. And this is as well something I forgot to mention, that you're also a lecturer, an assistant professor at SQU. So you did reach your goal. So I'm sure that was what drove you at the beginning. I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there, and this is what I have to do.
That's right. I mean, it really helps when you have a clear target and you have a goal. You really, when all the difficult situations happen in life and when you're running, you don't look at the stones that are being thrown at you because you're so focused on your goal that you're like, I don't feel the pain because I need to reach. Or you feel the pain and you're like, it's worth it. And I accept it because it's worth it at the end. But when you don't have a clear goal, you stop from the first stone because it's like, what am I doing this for?
Oh.
So having a clear goal at a very young age really helped me. And maybe having that clear goal at a young age came because I had parents who encouraged us to think about our future at very young ages.
Yes.
So I had my dad taking me to his classrooms at the age of 5. He was a professor. My dad's a professor of mathematics and computing, and he used to teach in the university. And I remember my reaction walking into his first classroom in the massive lecture theatre and thinking, that's what I want to be. So having that vision at a very, very young age really helped. Obviously, along the line, I wanted to become everything.
Of course, who doesn't?
But then you go back to the whole, you know what, no, my heart is here. And that's why it's really important to expose our children to as many professions as we can and not influence them on what we
want
and what we want them to
or
be.
what we want them to have. But because at the end of the day, it's what the child does with that knowledge and where he or she sees herself in the future.
Exactly. And passion.
Very true.
Passion. I mean, I remember when I got 98 in high school, they said, medicine, you're going to go to medical school. And I'm like, but I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a PhD holder and teach. I don't want to be a doctor. And I remember I was influenced by my brothers who bribed me that they're going to give me a check of XX, that was Lo'ai, by the way, and if I get into medicine, into College of Medicine, because he really wanted me to be a doctor. And I remember getting into university, and I got a high GPA in the first semester, and I was transferred to medicine. And as soon as I got acceptance, I'm like, well, I can actually say that I made the choice that I don't want to be in med school. And I don't regret it one bit, because then I followed my dream, my passion, and you only excel when you do what you love.
Very true.
No matter what it is, only do what you love, and you only excel when you do what you love. I see this with my students. I have students most of the students who are under probation in the university are there in that position of their academic career because they were forced to take a degree by their parents that they really don't want to do.
And what they're thinking, their parents, is like, where are you going to get the best job? And that's going to bring you money. That's the wrong way to start.
Exactly. And I see this day after day, and I really feel sorry for the students because they say, I like English literature, but I'm doing science, and I hate science. And there's nothing wrong with hating science. I mean, all the professions are needed. You need, people in every aspect of life.
Very true.
And it's when you excel only when you go and you follow your passion in your heart. And that's what I did. I followed my heart. I was supported by an amazing parents, brothers and sisters, an amazing husband. Even my kids support me in achieving my dream. I share these things with my kids, and they say, Mama, go and change the world.
Yeah,
when I apologize because I travel out in conferences,
yes.
I communicate with my kids, and I say, Mommy's busy this month because I'm going to go and talk about this topic into this country, and this is what it's going to make. It's going to make a difference in their lives.
True.
And they say, Mama, go and change the world.
Yeah,
so it's either that or they want extra PlayStation time. So I don't know.
I've always been fascinated with why you chose to take this path. What was it? Why did you always see yourself holding a PhD? What was it that you had in your mind? Why this particular field?
Mm-hmm. Maybe I think as a student, when I was studying at school, I noticed that I started talking to myself in the mirror when I studied, so that I would explain what I'm studying to myself in the mirror, and I would imagine that as a classroom, and I would pose questions like, what do you think? And so I would actually play the role of a teacher, and I would do this on a daily basis. So I think it was in me without me even knowing. I'm sure it was inspired by my dad.
Okay.
My uncles are also, professors in the universities, and
yeah.
So I think that was inspired a lot by my dad. My mom cared so much about our education as well. So basically, having parents who constantly told us, my dad focused on education. My mom focused on being a very good Muslim who would change her surrounding. So my mom would always say, remember, your country and religion. Your country and your religion. So we had this, and we were trained on everything we do. Are you serving your country? Are you serving your religion? Do it. My dad was all about high grades, high achiever. So we had that balance of getting the good degree, serving your community, serving your religion. Until today, we are trained in everything we do at our daily basis. It's like tick, tick, tick. Am I helping my surrounding? Am I making a difference? Am I being a good Muslim? Yes, do it. So when there's clarity, you don't feel like you're living your days and just say, what am I going to do today? You're living your days as missions.
You have goals.
Exactly.
Do these goals fulfill these categories? If they do, then that's the road for it.
Exactly. And the more you do it, the more clarity you have. So you get other opportunities, and you're like, is this my priority or not? So now I have clear answers of what I would take part in and what I won't take part in. Because my goals are very, very clear, and I think that's very important. Clarity in goals is very important.
Now that's a lesson learned right there. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Lamya.
Pleasure.
Now let's get into the things that we mentioned. When you have a goal and you're focused, and there are challenges, and I'm sure there were many challenges along the way. And this is what people don't understand. People see, okay, she got good grades, okay, she studied, but you don't know what goes behind closed doors. So I'd like you to share with me what was one of the hardest struggles that you faced?
Anxiety, depression, very, very stressful environment where I stressed myself out. And it's only when I learned how to deal with stress that I managed to actually enjoy my journey a little bit more. But it takes a little bit of maturity to get through that.
Very true.
So I had to be hit hard a few times before it sunk in that
you have to change.
You have to change the way you approach achieving your goals and careers. Of course, it's definitely not a smooth ride. It was never smooth. Since I was a kid, I was always high achiever in school and Thanawiyya. I used to get panic attacks during my exams, where I used to be carried out of the exam, back into the examination room, carried out again in the exam.
And all that because you just want to achieve
I don't want any mistakes. I want it to be perfect. And that's something I learned later, that was not a healthy...
Yes.
That's not realistic. Nobody is perfect. Life is not perfect. And imperfection is a gift. And there's a book actually called The Gifts of Imperfection that I recommend people to read. is that to accept that we are imperfect people. And that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us.
Yes.
So that perfectionism, it took me a while to get over. I just couldn't
Let go.
accept. Yeah.
Perfectionism is something I struggle with myself, and I'm sure not the only one. So I don't know how you deal with it, because I feel that it's all perfectionism hits every aspect of your life. And as you said, it takes a certain level of maturity.
You're right. No, it does hit every aspect. You want to be a perfect mom, a perfect daughter, a perfect wife, perfect, and it's just not. It's not real. It's not real. Yeah, full stop. And it was only when I was hit hard by my depression when I thought, that's not worth it. I'm killing myself over some things that I cannot achieve. I cannot be the perfect everything. And it's only when I accepted myself like that where
you had to let go and realize that things will not be perfect, but I just have to keep on going.
Yes, absolutely. And it turned out much better, and life was much easier and most beautiful, and there was no decrease in achievement. Relax. I started achieving more because I'm relaxed.
Yeah, and you get to enjoy life more as well.
Exactly.
Yes, we want to focus on our goals, we want to achieve them, but we have to also understand that we have to enjoy what Allah has blessed us with, our family, our friends, because when we become so confined in goal achieving, then we tend to forget of everything else, and it of course affects our life negatively.
I got to a point where I used to expect my 5-year-old to sort out the large cars from the small cars in the drawers of the toys. So that was like extreme perfectionism.
Yes.
They would have a label, his drawers, the IKEA drawers. There'd be large cars, small cars, and then if there was a small one, the large one, Talat Habibi, you made and it's only when my husband was like, there's enough, we have one of you in the house. We don't want to raise
that it can go.
And that's when it hit me. That's when I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why does it have to be? Why can't the cars be mixed? And then I realized there was something wrong that I need to work on.
To go back to the question which I started off at the beginning, is how do you manage it all? Again, because I'm really intrigued. You are achieving, mashallah, and should I say you are perfect, in trying to achieve all these goals, but really, how do you do it, Lamya? Is it time management? As you said, there are a set of skills. Yeah. What's your secret? How do you do it?
Yes. Well, it's not a secret, because I think this is
no longer today,
exclusive only for this program. It's really, as I said, it's a set of skills. One, it has to come from inside, because it's not easy. So you have to have a very strong driving force. When you have a very strong driving force, which only comes from inside, because no matter how many people tell you to get something done, you won't do it unless it's coming from inside. So it's very strong passion and driving force from inside. Two, that's not enough if you're not organized and you manage your time.
And disciplined.
Yes. Okay, so focus is key. Discipline is key as well. Support is really important. I wouldn't manage to handle all these roles of mom, wife, teacher, lecturer, researcher, public speaker, humanitarian. I wouldn't be able to, tick all these boxes if I did not have a support system with me. And if not a support system, at least some sort of support. Whether it's your husband, whether it's your cousin, whether it's your parents.
Because you can't do it alone.
Absolutely.
And that's what people want to do these days. No, I can do this alone. I don't need anyone. You can't. That's the reality.
I don't believe anybody reached the top alone. I don't
they all
believe
had
that
hands to lift them up.
Exactly. Whether they realize it or not, you can't get to the top on your own.
I believe together we rise.
Exactly.
Even in humanitarian work, no person can make a difference alone. You can start the difference for others to join in that path, but
exactly.
In reality,
and that's why when I get these awards and these certificates and these, I always say and they say, "What do you have any final words?" I'm like, it's always the first and final words is thanks to the people who supported me, because I wouldn't be the top of my class, or if I had 2 kids, because I got married when I was in 4th year undergrad.
Yes, I remember.
And my husband was with me during my undergrad, my master's, and my PhD. So he got more phone calls when I finished my PhD than I got. He got more congratulations than I did, and I fully support that. Without his support, I wouldn't have managed to achieve it. And that the road was not easy at all. I stopped my education halfway during my master's because I got a bad mark in one of my assignments and I couldn't take it, and I actually postponed a few months, like 3 or 4 months from my studies, and came back because it just became so negative that I started thinking one negative after another. And that support system really helps. So clarity, passion, support, time management, and involvement.
Okay.
So I make my kids and my husband part of my journey.
Yes.
If I go give a public talk, I take my kids with me.
So they can see. So they're part of
it. So they don't feel like mommy is away. Work is taking mommy away. We're doing work with mama. It's very different.
It's just a different spin to it, isn't it?
Exactly. Even when I'm marking exam papers at home, I would make them cross-check the marks. I would be around them when they're playing, asking them how school was, and I'll tell them about how my work was. So they don't feel like work is mommy's business.
Yeah, they're not alienated by it, and they don't end up hating you, or not hating you. Sorry, hate is a strong word.
Resenting them.
You, for resenting you for working hard and not being with them. You're trying to, bring them into your world.
Exactly. And then a very, very important point, maybe mommies should be aware of that, is that it's not the amount of time you spend with your kids, it's the quality of the time you spend. So if I'm around my kids for 4 hours a day, and I'm on my phone or I'm busy doing something else, I would rather have half an hour of full attention with my kids, where we sit and we play, and we're outside on the swings, or we're building a sandcastle, or we're on the beach, playing, and they have my full attention, or my phones are completely away, or any kind of distractions completely away. So I would read their bedtime stories. There's some rituals that I wouldn't, I miss, like reading their bedtime story, doing homeworks with them. Even the homeworks can be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but you can actually try to make homework fun. Like once my husband walked in the house, and my younger one was doing his homework with his sunglasses on inside the house, and he's like, "Why is he wearing his sunglasses?" I'm like, "Because he's doing his homework." if it needs him to wear sunglasses, then let him wear the sunglasses.
As long as it makes things easier and fun.
Make it fun. He would memorize his Quran upside down, so he would have his head on the sofa and his legs.
Talk about a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, as long as you're memorizing your verses, because he's energetic. So basically, it's involvement, it's engagement. If you feel like work, and I always say this because it's a very important point, if we feel like work is taking up too much time of our family, then we really need to pause and say, this is not right. I mean, it happens sometimes if it's just for a short period of time because you have a mega project, but as long as it's not a lifestyle, then you need to really take a pause and say, remember your priorities. Our priorities are mothers and wives before it is, work,
anything else.
Community.
Very true. Yeah. One thing I really admire about you, in addition to what I've said earlier, is that you are more than one thing. You're not just a lecturer. You said, as you said, the many things that you listed, and I think that's one thing that we struggle with. We think, okay, we'll just be a life coach, and that's all I'll be. No, I'll be everything that I want to be, because I can do that as long as I have the skills that I can, that manage me to do that.
Yes.
Before we leave, I would like you to just tell us one thing. If you can change somebody's life by saying something to them. Someone is looking at you and say, I really want to be like Dr. Lamya. I want to be an overachiever. Not an overachiever, but I do want to achieve things in my life. What is your message to them?
My message is, don't be like anyone and don't compete with anyone. My message is, look at yourself in the mirror and say, how can I be the better version of me every day? So you don't compare yourself to anybody else, because your skills, your environment, everything is different. But what you want to say is, like, I'm inspired by this story. I love it. How can I apply this in my life with my environment, with what I have? Because it's too stressful to compare yourself to others. So compare yourself to yourself every day. How can you grow as a person every day? Before you know it, you're much, much higher than Lamya or Mayya or anybody else.
Very true. Thank you so much for those inspiring words, and thank you again for taking the time to share your story.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be here.
You're most welcome.